Good afternoon. It is February 13th, 2024, and I waited all night and I kept an eye out for you, but I had a sneaking suspicion we were going to be about 24 hours behind, and it did pan out. I thought we were going to rock and roll there for a few minutes there. The Everything looked like it was going to start shifting, and it did some minor shifting last night, but we really didn't ever make it quite off the KP2 mark. There was some minor shifting in density, some minor shifting in the negative and positive BZ. We even saw some minor shifting in the magnometers and the phi angle, but we didn't really make it off the mark. That has started to occur this afternoon, and we are up to nearly a KP4 this afternoon. So we are looking at what was supposed to hit last night will probably hit tonight. And that looks like what is going to happen. So let's start by taking a look at the last 24 hours on our star, and let's back that up. So we're going to be starting back 48 hours ago. And so this is starting the 11th. Now we're on the 12th, and you can kind of see that we're getting some good powerful bangs off the sides. And we're into the 13th. We've had a lot of good movement here, have a lot of activity coming over this limb. And we have a new sunspot rotating in we're going to look at. But on a whole, we're kind of losing the steam on the really big ones. So let's go to our dashboard. As you can see, we never made it off the mark. We are now at almost a KP4. So they're predicting what was supposed to hit last night is now moved to tonight. And that is what we are looking at for tonight. And so we're looking at the emerald spiral. It's going to hit on the 13th. We're seeing some minor shifting that took place on the phi angle earlier today. Our density is way up there right now. Our wind speeds, though, are down around 400. Not a really great thing. We have seen the movements. When I went to bed about 7, we were right about here at the goes. And since then, we have seen the magnometer start to shift and like they're taking a load. So I look for us, and you want to watch this goes later this evening. I think that is going to go up, and we want to see it start peaking like it is back in this area back here. So looking at our flares over the last day, yesterday, to start out with, we had a big M-class flare, M-class 4 point, what was it? 6.5. We had another M4, we have an M1 and an M2.6. The M2.6 was of a very long duration mixed with a lot of C's. So this will keep us elevated. And whenever we have a long duration flare, that means that will elevate the solar activity, the auroral activity, unlike quick flares, which don't do anything for the auroras. So we can look forward to that. Looking at our sunspot regions, 3576 is now getting to the point it's not really going to affect us much. 3582 is reaching that point of getting to that point. 3583, which has been very active, it is now hitting center disk, and will hit that in the next day and a half. It's going to hit that active zone. 3581 is rotating into that earth-facing center line. It too, in a day and a half, will be to where it's going to be in the active zone. We have 3584 and a new sunspot region, 3585. 3576 is remaining gamma beta delta. That may, if it keeps going like it is, it may make it a full rotation around the sun. So, again, like I said, in 20 days to 23 days, you want to start watching for a couple of these sunspots to see if they have made the full rotation around the disk. So, 23 days from now is when you want to start watching. 3581, which is now coming Earth-based, it is still an alpha class, but it has produced some activity. 3182, which is now coming to the point it's not going to affect us as much as a beta. 3583, which is Earth-basing, it is now beta gamma delta. That means it's more active. It's shifted over the last 24 hours and is becoming more active, more capable of producing CMEs. 3584 is down here. It has been producing and is beta. And now we have 3581, which is an alpha class. Quick look at how this is morphed. If you'll notice, we have lost 3579. This has been swallowed up and drawn the energy out of it into here. And this has just become a massive, massive hole. And it keeps swallowing up all the little holes around it and drawing it into this big, central, deep hole. And this is a negative polarity. So this is, and it keeps sucking in everything around it. So this may make a rotation. And it has produced 2 C-class flares today. It is still 65% chance and a 25% chance. So this has lost 21 sunspots. It is up in size. So it's still reorganizing itself, but that like I said, that big sunspot, negative sunspot, is sucking everything into it. Kind of like a tornado. It's sucking everything around it into it, and it's becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and deeper and deeper and deeper. So this may make a rotation. 3581 is down to 1 sunspot now. It is an alpha class. This may be fading out, and we may totally lose this sunspot. 3582 is actually growing. It's up 4 sunspots and has grown 120 in size. And this has really changed its shape. It is really starting to interweave more, and it is getting bigger, noticeably bigger. Now, we are down 3 sunspots in 8583, but we're up in size, and we're up in the way the polarities are organized. So this is now beta gamma. This means it's an irregular shape with polarities of both positive and negative within each individual hole. So every one of these holes that you see, or these sunspots, have a negative and a positive polarity in them, but also these red and yellow are negative polarity sunspots, while the blue is positive polarity sunspots. And you can see how tightly woven in here all this is. And so it's irregularly woven in between everything. And this makes it highly eruptive. It's shot off 2 C-class flares today. It's gaining in its probability. It has really taken off and gained probability of eruption. It's up to 60% of a C-class flare and 20% of an M-class flare. Now, 3484 is down and to our left. It now is a beta class. It is up 2 sunspots and is up 10% in size. So this is reorganizing and growing, which is pretty good for being in the dead zone or the quiet zone where things generally kind of quiet down. It's in the quiet zone and it's still reorganizing. So that's a good thing. And we have this sunspot. It is an alpha class, means there's only one negative polarity here, but it is coming around, and we have seen some flaring coming from around the limb, and we can see behind it there is something trailing. We know that there has been something erupting from this side of the limb, so it is either this sunspot or what is trailing behind it that may be causing some really big flaring that is going on. So we want to keep eyes on those two spots. Going to our latest CMEs, we know kind of what's happened since the 11th. And we've had, leaving off at the beginning of the 12th, we have a full halo here. The sunspot is going off this way. I think that's from that new sunspot, or possibly from 83 right here. It's either from 85 or 83. It's coming from this region right here. So that's shooting off sideways. But we also can still see the movement all the way around the disk. So we know that we're going to have some sort of incoming plasma. We do have a near halo hit. This is probably from 83, 85. Not particularly dense. So I don't look for this to be huge. Okay? I don't look for this to be maybe a KP4, KP5. Don't look it to be the 7 to 9 range. That's not what I see here. Here you start to see density. Now it's starting to blast out more density. We have a second solar storm right here, kicking out from the bottom. That is coming from that center alpha class. Now this is moving at 1953 kilometers per hour. So based on what we've seen, not on what NOAA is saying, but what we have experienced this week, we're going to put that out 36 hours. So that happened on the 12th. So you're going to go 13th, 14th. I'm going to look for this on the 16th sometime. I'm going to put it out 24 to 36 hours out, probably closer to 36 hours. Anytime in that 24 to 36 hour window, but closer to 36, because I just think it's not moving quite as fast as they think so far. Now the next solar storm, it kind of slows down as this density comes out. It's kind of slowing down with that next blast. It isn't quite as fast, but we can tell that first initial 19,053 kilometer storm is moving fast, but it's a long duration. It's continuing. How long is it continuing? Okay, so this happened 6:48. That blast happened at 6:48. We've got a blast from here, and this, I'm going to say, is probably from that sunspot peeking around the backside of the limb. So I do not think this one we need to even think about. This one will affect us possibly if it's aimed straight out at us. So this happened at 6:48. This is just, and this is at 13. So so this isn't going to last 7 hours. So you probably got a 2 or 3 hour window that storm is going to be peaking at. Followed behind it, moving much, much, much slower. This one is a solid, very, very dense blast. Great eye candy. But I think this is coming from that region just behind the limb that we can't see. This isn't going to affect us at all, except for maybe some residual wind. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes when a blast is on the back side of the sun, think of it as a nuclear bomb. Boom, it blasts out. But as it blasts out, it has that wind spread that, is secondary to the blast. So we have the blast that goes out and that affects a small area, but then we have that residual wind that kind of spreads out and hits everything. We may get the wind, but I don't think we're going to get the density from the particle stream like this. I think it's from around the back limb. I don't think this is coming from the front side of the sun. I could be wrong, but I don't think it is. Now, this one likely is coming from the front side of the sun. This one is probably coming from 83. It is blasting straight up and away. We still have a halo hit here, though. We still have activity moving all the way around the halo, but is it going to be moving at us is the other question, because we may be viewing the halo hit going away from us. And that's going to be the hard part. Is it coming at us or is it going away from us? And that's what right now, being a 2D model in a 3D world or environment, we don't know. We can't tell if it's coming at us or whether it's moving away from us. And largely because we have Lascaux 2 and 3, but we don't have Lascaux 1 anymore. And Lascaux 1 used to sit off at the right side, and we used to be able to see what was going on the outgoing limb, and we could look at the sun at 3 different views and know what was going on. And we just don't have that tool anymore to give us that view. We have another blast. This might be from that new region right here. This is another blast going on. But as you can see, these are all super, super, super slow. This is coming from, 84 down here? So this is coming down and away and at us. This will hit us. So whatever is out there, if it picks up anything in front of it, will come at us. But it's moving slower than the stuff in front of it. Now, this one may pick up a little bit. This is from 3076. So this is moving down and away. It still can swirl back and hit some of it. And it may pick up whatever's down here and shove it much faster at us. So we could get a slight scoop shovel here. This one, if it is coming from 83 or the new sunspot right here, 85, this may come and give us a kick. This one is in a position that it could give us a kick if it's shaped right. And if it's coming from 83, not 85. 85, it's going to miss us. If it comes from 83, it'll hit us. And this one, I think, is from the back side of the limb. I don't think it's going to hit us. So that, looked at that. So they're kind of got us going just like we did last night, thinking it's going to peak between our time, somewhere between 1 and 3 a.m. and till morning, and then picking up just about dark tomorrow for a few minutes and then fading right off. And they're not looking for a lot of activity from what happened on the 11th, the 10th and 11th, it looks like, to hit us, which I don't know if I agree with. We may get some elevation there that they don't expect. Again, for you newbies, I'm going to say this. NOAA and NASA are right about 50% of the time. This is where you have to learn to go back, just like I did. Look at those sunspots, determine which sunspot they're coming from, how fast that storm is moving, what direction it's moving in, what polarity it is. Because if it's the opposite polarity that we are on the north, then it's not going to come into our poles. It's going to push it. It's like bar magnets. So if it's the wrong polarity, it's not going to come down into our poles. It'll just skate right on by. So you've got speed, trajectory, polarity, or magnetic polarity. And then you have whether it's being scooped up by another storm to look at. These are all things you've got to figure in and you've got to look at and figure out. And the only way you can do it is by doing what I'm doing, is looking at all these different feeds and figuring that out. Now, one other feed that you can look at, and there is the other Lascaux 2 to look at, but this is Lascaux 3. And if you're seeing a halo all the way around the disk, like you are here, and you can see things moving all the way around the disk, then we're going to get hit. If it's to one side or the other, and it's brighter on one side than the other, then the chances are that we're not going to get the hit. The other thing you got to think about is sometimes if the storm is really big, we see what's going away from us on the backside of the sun, and it fools us into thinking it's coming at us when it's really going away from us. And the stuff that happened yesterday, I think may be the case on a few of the cactus images. We may be seeing stuff that's going away from us. I don't necessarily think everything we see there is directed right at us. I think we're going to be seeing some things that are moving away from us as well. So that is what we're looking at. Now let's discuss weather. All right, starting. Okay, tonight. Sky cover for the 13th, 7 p.m. Remember, the gray areas are your clouded areas. So Traverse City, Charlevoix might be a little less cloudy. Wisconsin, and Rebecca, you're going to be really happy because you're under clear skies, so you better be over your flu. Upper Minnesota is going to be a good area. The thumb area, you're probably going to clear before anybody. Western, southern Michigan, and the middle of the mitten are going to be your best bets to start the night. By 10 p.m., that is brushing up Wisconsin, you're going to remain clear. West side of Upper Peninsula is going to remain clear. The clear area is shifting over to Mackinac a little bit, so we may get a little clear patch in Mackinac. And along the east side, right there by Sheboygan, you might get a clear view. Even if you're under clouds at Sheboygan, there might be enough of a clear view out over the lake. The thumb is going to be clear, the east or the western side of Michigan and the central part of lower Michigan by 10 p.m. By 1 p.m., this all shifts over to the eastern side of Michigan, and the eastern side of the Michigan remains clear. Mackinac gets clearer, Upper Peninsula, and by 1 p.m. or 1 a.m., Wisconsin, you're going to get a little dodgy. And then you're going to start clearing out by 4 a.m. May see some clearing just before dawn at Traverse City. And Mackinac and the eastern side of Michigan is going to be your clearest tonight. Skip ahead till tomorrow night. On the 15th, lower Michigan is your best bet. It is going to be cloudy in western, or on the 15th, in the night of the 15th, which is when I would suspect whatever we got yesterday to come in. So Wisconsin, Minnesota, you're going to be clouded up, not much of a chance, and it's going to fade right out to nothing for anybody on the 15th. If this hits Thursday night, Wisconsin, you will be clear if this comes in on the night of the 16th. If we get activity on the night of the 16th, Wisconsin, parts of Minnesota, you will be clear. Lower Michigan, you will be partially clear. And a couple of spots in the UP may be partially clear. And northern Michigan is kind of out of it. So your best bet is going to be along that western shore. By 1 a.m. on the 16th, it's going to shift to the eastern side of the state, and Traverse City, we're just skunked completely out of everything. So you're going to have to book it if you want to see anything. There is your forecast real quick and dirty. I've got a million things to do today, so I will leave you with that.